evening, everybody. Lovely to be with you. Martin,
Yeah.
having conversations with friends in front of people,
Yeah, amazing.
not something I do every day. I'm not sure about you.
No, not as often as I would like to.
We'll just pretend like we didn't script all of this, right?
Yep.
Absolutely. So, having the topic, the role of leadership and management in scaling environments, we decided to not spend a week on it. We'll take the next 15 minutes. Our approach on it was to first define what makes a scaling environment unique. And then to see, right, so what are the key elements of leadership and management that speak directly into that uniqueness? So that was our approach, and that's the way that we'll also be going about this. So there's a lot to say, so we'll focus our answers on the few things that we believe are vital. By no means a complete answer to this incredible question. So Martin, in your perspective, what makes a scaling environment unique?
Yeah, I think, as Lo said, there's a variety of information out there, and I decided there's two things for me that really make scaling environments quite unique. And the first one is that once you start scaling, your social systems change. As soon as you start adding more people to your team, communication and everything in your team needs to change, and that's something that we've experienced within Outsource CFO at the moment. And I think the communication and everything since we started hybrid models and in-person or remote first, those systems changes a lot, and I think that's where the first thing starts to become very more complex. So how do you work with your social system within your environment? And the second one is probably the one that I'm most passionate about. It's the mismatch of skills. So now you're building this company, your company is running at quite a hectic pace. You're adding new customers, you're adding new people. How do I lead these people? How do I lead the people within my team? And it's what Marshall Goldsmith, he's probably one of the most prominent coaches, said. He said, what got us here won't get us there. Yeah. So everything needs to start to change. You need to start thinking differently about leadership, about leading your company. And how do I work with the people entrusted in my firm? Mm-hmm. But I'm quite curious to hear what your insights on this would be.
Great stuff. You had 2 points. I'm going to rapid fire on 4 of them that I'll revert back to later. I think one of the things that makes the environment unique is there's always an inherent sense of excitement and of purpose. An excitement of the vastness of the sea that we're trying to explore and conquer. I believe this is unique, and I believe if we steward this well and we maximize this excitement well, we can overcome a lot of the complexities that also come along with it. The next one is constant change. So change is the only constant, but I think in scaling environments, rapid change is the only constant. Some people love it, some people don't. Some people who do not love it might cause you grief, and some people who do love it might not do that well in doing it because they're just going in, whoo, things are going to change again. So I'd like to speak into that a bit later as well. But we need to learn how to flourish in such environments, and I do believe it is possible. The third one would be that it's an environment where there is almost always a lack of clarity. We're into the new, we're running into stuff that we haven't run into before, and there are great books out there, but none of them was really written for my exact situation. And so it's like I'm always running into this misty morning, and I'm really excited for the view that's going to unveil itself pretty soon. And it sometimes unveils itself, and then there's more mist, and I run into it again, being very excited for that. And I think there's a few things we can learn about that later on too. And the last thing I think it kind of links into what you said is that it's unique in the sense that it often seems to outgrow the leaders that lead it. If the leaders do not outgrow the organization. And I think Jack Wiles said, if the rate of change on the outside exceeds the rate of change on the inside, then the end is near. So I think these are 4 things we can maybe dig into a little bit deeper. So, Martin, what would you say, looking at all these things, what's required of leadership in a scaling environment?
Probably the important thing for me, and again, the one that I'm most passionate about, is the investment in leadership and management development programs. And I think if you want to look at a leadership and management development program, the ones that I've seen that moved the biggest need, or that moves the needle in a profound way, is the one that starts with, first of all, how do I develop myself? How do I change as a human being? How do I become the best leader possible for the team that I'm busy with? And the thing with especially larger organizations is that we do leadership development either to get a better BE score or to get those marks or those points or whatever. But I've noticed that constant leadership development within a company is the thing that moves the needle the quickest. And it's not getting someone in once a year, but it's like a continuous thing that we do in our company. This is part of our culture. This is what we do. We've got a learning culture. And I think that's one thing that we started implementing at Outsource CFO, is where the senior leadership team gets together every 2 weeks, and we have 2 hours with them, which is, as a leadership consultant and a coach, the best thing possible. You know, it's, I think, investing in the leaders, and that's especially important for the CEO as well. Since we've moved into new territory, you're moving from tradecraft into my leadership craft. In a startup environment, was creating your trade. In a scale-up environment is who's the leader that my company needs now. The second thing is not loosening your standards. All of a sudden, we need to hire a lot of new people for new projects, new clients. And the first thing that I see is that people tend to loosen their hiring standards. So either get a new system of hiring people and hiring the best people, but don't loosen your standards. I think that's very, very important.
Agreed. I think Steve Jobs said that A players attract A players and B players attract C players. So it's important that we don't fall into that trap. I think that was really good advice. I don't know why they're laughing.
A players attract A players. We want A players.
Thank you. So I'll be quick. I think the excitement, stewarding that excitement, in my experience, leaders underestimate the power of sharing the excitement they have and what they see. And we call it stupid things like vision casting, but I really think that sounds too much like a boring slideshow. But if we could get into storytelling, if we could get people to feel what we feel when we see the BHAG, I think we do really well. And sometimes as a leader, you feel that you can't share the same thing 5 times, really. I mean, your co-founder is going to roll his eyes when you do that thing again. But for the 3 new people, they've never heard it, and they don't feel it. And if they don't feel it, they don't have it. So don't underestimate the power of sharing your excitement 1,000 times over. Second one is with regards to change. Since it's going to be the only constant, let's do it really well. It's so simple. Like, there's so many great models out there that you could use, like Lewin and McKinsey's 7S or the ADKAR model we use at OCFO. Just make sure that when you are going to run change, that you do it well. Because otherwise it might throw you into the abyss quite quickly. Pick one and do it intentionally. Uncertainty. I think there will be so much uncertainty, then often you run into an entrepreneurial firm and then everything is unclear because we're in such an environment where things are unclear. The fact is, you can be clear on a lot of things if you're disciplined in gaining that clarity. Roles, goals, and core processes. Get them clear. So that the uncertainty that does come will not catch you off guard. Then I think the last thing adds to what you've said, but if you don't make time for your personal development, then you're just going to work harder and harder rather than working smarter and smarter. And very soon, if you say, well, I've got no time for it, then very soon I think your organization will have no time for you running the show because you don't actually know what to do. I mean, if you can run a 10 million company, do you know what it takes to run a 100 million company? And so we have to intentionally grow there. Concluding thoughts. One piece of it. Are we allowed to have concluding thoughts to Sil? Should we wrap it right here? We're allowed to have concluding
Yeah, time is running faster than...
1 minute. You've got 30 seconds to tell us if you would give one piece of advice.
One piece of advice.
Leaders in scaling environments.
I think you mentioned it. I think you have to be crystal clear on where you're going, who's your client, what do you want to achieve, and say no to everything else. Otherwise, you're going to be busy with things that you don't want to be busy with. Yeah. That's going to waste your time and energy.
Thanks. While we're working on this, we came up with a word that speaks into scaling sustainably, and we call it scalability. So I checked on Google, and there's nothing like that out there. So
our book is coming next year.
Check it out, scalability. So what I'd like to say is, do you think the way that you're running right now, you would still be able to run in 10 years from now when your company is what you dream it would be? Would your physical health, your mental health, the well-being of your family and your professional growth be on par with where you dream you will be then? And I think building rhythms, especially for your eating, your sleeping, your relationships, your exercise, and unpacking your thoughts and emotions is probably the thing that I've learned to do that has been the most valuable and keeping me on track and healthy while running. Just heard an alarm. I think that's the sign.
Or we need to wake up.
Thank you very much, guys. It's lovely being with you.